Hey everyone, this is Heini here, the host of this podcast and the founder of Vivino, the world's largest wine app. So we have some super exciting stuff today. We have some new premium features, but also other features that we're going to tease today. We also have some very interesting data, which is from the app, but it's about food. So what do people pair wine and food? How do they pair in different countries? We're going to look at Italy, Mexico, US, and different countries. So super exciting to see how people pair wine with food. So our two guests today are Oleg, who you'll remember from previous episodes. He is our VP of Product and Engineering. Welcome, Oleg.
Thank you very much. Hello.
And we have a new guest, Joachim Lippert-Svensson, who is a Senior Product Manager on the Product Engagement team. So welcome, Joachim.
Thank you.
So before we dig in, we're going to talk a lot about Premium. So it's been quite some time now. Where are we with Premium, Oleg?
So now it's exactly been 1 year since we soft launched it. So
Yes.
soft launch is the tech lingo for launching the product early. So we
Sounds
launched
very
it
tech.
in 2 countries first. It was an early stage product, so it only had a few features in it. And the idea was to launch it to just a few countries to see how it works, to make sure that all the features are there, that everything is working well, and just to learn from the initial feedback that we received from our users.
And just so people understand that means only a couple of features and a couple of countries. Just see if the infrastructure is there and so on, right? And then you build on top of it.
And then it takes you a little bit longer to actually build the remaining features and then roll it out in more countries. So we launched it globally in September last year. And since
what's
September,
that, 8 months or something? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So we've just hit 100,000 paying subscribers.
Amazing.
Most of those subscribers are actually on the annual plan. That is a good signal to us that there is a huge community that loves the features that we have developed inside Premium for them and also want to support our product.
Yeah.
So thank you very much to everyone who supported us throughout this journey with Premium and who've enjoyed the features and have also been a part of developing that feature proposition as well. Like we released the special page where you can see all the features that we're currently thinking about. You can vote for them or give your suggestions and submit your own features. And that has been a very helpful piece of feedback for us that we accommodated.
Give us direction.
Exactly.
Yeah. Again, just thank you, because this is really important for Vivino as a company. We've mostly relied on one business model, which was the marketplace. Having this on top really enables us to focus on building great features for the community. So thank you to the now over 100,000 people doing that. So it's amazing. Okay, before we move into what I love to talk about, data and features, amazing. I want to talk, Joachim, a little bit about what do you guys do on the engagement team?
Sure. So we work on a bunch of different features that maybe are the things that you first think of or pop into your mind when you think Vivino, or some of the features that people are first exposed to when they download the app. So that could be the rating feature, the scanning feature, the Cellar, and all the social features that we have.
The features people most engage with, you could say, right?
Yeah, pretty much. And our goal as a team is to essentially solve people's wine-related problems so that they keep using the app and benefit from it. Okay. More recently, we've then focused on all of the premium features that Oleg mentioned. But in a way, that was a way of shifting focus. But in another way, we're kind of doing the same thing. We're trying to solve the same problems of helping people decide what to drink, discover new wines, learn about wine, all that stuff.
Perfect. Okay, so today we're going to focus on the premium part of it. And let's just start with that, right? So the first thing we're going to talk about is food pairing. And we know that how people pick wine and so on, food is just an important part of that experience. And we've had some features on that, but we've really taken that to the next level. So why are we doing food pairing? What's the deal behind that?
Yeah, so the reason we're doing it is, one, based on the feedback that we got directly from our users, but also that from the users that we've talked to over the past few years, the feedback that we get from reviews, through all these channels, we just see that this is a common problem that people have. Like, pairing food and wine is tricky, no matter almost how much you know about wine. There are a few users who are super confident and don't need any help, but most people want some kind of help, or at least sometimes look up a dish that they're not familiar with, or look it up if they want to try a new kind of wine with a dish that they already know.
And there's some controversy around this because some people think it's an exact science. Is it that? Yeah. Is it a science, Oleg?
I mean, it's both science and the lack of science, right? It's both science and actually experience. And I think that's the beauty of the approach that we've taken, because we're actually basing it on the kind of like the taste characteristics of the wine style. And it's something that is not coming from the books. It's actually something that is coming from our users. Yeah. So our users are actually telling us how a wine tastes like. We aggregate it all together. We present it in taste characteristics. So this feature is based on the user data. So it's not something that some experts decided or some books have written about. It's actually something that is coming from our community.
Yeah. So you can say our approach is sort of science-based, but the fundamentals of it, like, it is opinion-based, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, let's dig in. So what was the first feature we launched there?
So I can't remember how far back this is, but about half a year ago, we launched the first version, which would help you if you have a wine and you don't know what to pair with it, or if you have a wine and you want to pair it with a certain dish, to sort of sanity check. Like, do these things go well together? And we had this scale, which went from not ideal, which was our way of saying, if you really like this wine and this dish, you can go for it, but we'd probably recommend you look further.
It's not necessarily harmony.
No, exactly. And that's where it is kind of an art and also up to subjectivity. But sort of the scale goes from that all the way to this is a perfect match, something like oysters and champagne. This is like classic. These things usually go together if you like both those things. Yeah. And we got a lot of good feedback from people. And one of the pieces of feedback was also something we already knew, which was that they wanted a way to go the other way as well, to start with a dish. So let's say I'm having oysters, or let's say I'm having a beef stew or something like that. What should I pick? What should I pick in a restaurant? What should I pick at home from my cellar? What should I buy in the supermarket?
Yeah, obviously, wine people will say the right way to do this is to pick the wine first and then the course. So
that's the pro move.
But not everyone starts with the wine, so that's why the teacher needed to start with a dish.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. So let's look into it. Do you want to let's do a demo? Let's go for it.
Sure.
So the idea now is to start by what can we do with this? In this case, we're going to look at a dish first. And let's talk us through that.
That's right. So the way it works is you open up your Vivino app, you go to the search tab, and you hopefully see the new entry point that we have, the food pairing search. A little preview of some of the dishes that we have. Once you hit that, you get the full list of dishes that we've
what so is the far full list? How big is the full list?
560 dishes.
Wow.
And amazing. It's also, the cool thing about it is it's a pretty good variety in the sense that we're a Danish company. We haven't just picked Danish dishes or just American dishes, but we have dishes from all over the world. So I've also used this as kind of inspiration to try out some new dishes or to look for something.
And just to look, and we're going to see in a second, we're going to actually get data from many different countries. So we're going to look into that in a second. Go ahead.
So what you can do is you can scroll through the list here, get inspired, see sort of what's out there, but most likely you'll have a dish in mind. That's at least what we hear from our users. So I have to admit I love pizza.
There you go.
We can start with that. So once you reach the dish page, you kind of see a hierarchy of things that we recommend, starting like very broad with the types of wine. So you can see here for margarita, we recommend all sorts of wine: red wine, white wine, sparkling, rosé. It doesn't mean all red wines will go with margarita, but there are some that we consider good matches. If you want to dive a little bit deeper, as most people would want to, you can look at the list below, and you can see that we have a bunch of different styles that either match perfectly with the wine or with the dish, or that we think are maybe not the classic matches, but also would be really, really good. Okay. And I've rated a couple of wines, so I can already see here that like this style I've tried before, Chianti or Barbera, I probably like. Yeah, exactly. So that would be a good match. If I want to take it one step further, I can also pick the type, and then I can see, well, what should a wine ideally taste like? Again, it's kind of an art, so these are more guidelines.
But it's also broad strokes, right? You can see
it's pretty broad, yeah.
Dry-ish, not necessarily super dry, and so on.
Yeah, so if you want to look for something maybe a bit more untraditional or something new, then this can also be your guide to find a new wine. And that way you can go through the different types, see what we recommend. And we also filtered by the styles that are within that type. So now you just see the red wines.
I saw you noticed you picked on sparkling there. I have a hack for everyone here, is that I was out eating with a food reviewer, like one of the biggest here in Denmark. And he said when he goes to fine dining and he doesn't want to do the menu, just pick champagne. It matches with everything.
It's always good.
Yeah, always champagne. That's what his thing. Okay, nice. Sorry, keep going.
You might have noticed that the scale of the taste characteristics here is exactly the one that you would find on the wine page.
Yes.
So if you're used to seeing the taste characteristics on the wine page, then this will be a nice helper for you to actually find a wine that would match those ranges quite well.
Exactly. And that's also where you can use the feature on the wine page to then double check. So you can go to wine, you can type in margarita, and then you can see, is this actually a perfect match? And that will take things like this into account.
Yeah. It's funny, when you said margarita, I was thinking, is it going to be with vodka or tequila? But that's okay, good.
Yeah, we could add that one.
Yeah,
look into that. If you want, you can also sort of tap on the style and read a bit more about it. We have a bunch of interesting content about many different styles. So if you don't know what Chianti is or you want to learn a bit more about it, you can do that too.
Yeah, perfect.
But I think maybe the coolest feature, and one that I know you're a fan of or would expect, is you can take it one step deeper beyond that, which is if you use the Cellar feature, we will also check if any of the wines in your cellar are perfect or good matches with the dish that you've selected, and just highlight those right from the get-go.
I mean, this feature is just amazing for me, right? And you sort of snuck it in. I didn't know it was coming, and I have put my cellar in there, like reasonably updated. And then I just searched for, I can't remember who it was, and it's just like, holy shit, this is the best one in the cellar. Like I walk 10 meters and grab the wine, and perfect match. It's really cool, I must say.
And that's exactly the idea. But where if we didn't have this, you might do a Google search. You might figure out what works with moule marinière. I hope I'm saying that correctly.
What was this?
Gotcha.
Yeah,
like a French mussels dish.
Yes.
And then go to your cellar. Then maybe search for that style. Maybe you don't have that style, and take it from there. Here you can just go to the dish directly. See, I'm lucky enough to have some champagne at home. Maybe I should make
Which
this
is perfect
dish.
for this. Yeah.
And pick that wine.
Yeah. Like amazing. I mean, this feature, if you have things in your, like you just get more out of having your wines listed in the cellar, right? So really quite impressive, I must say. Cool, wonderful. Any comments on this, Oleg?
Well, first of all, I always love just looking at the pictures.
Yeah,
like the pictures of the food that we put into this feature are amazing. Even though, the real disclaimer here is that they're fully AI generated. So this is the power of AI. But for me, it's always a nice addition. Like I kind of then I get inspired about the potential dish or wine that I'm going to be pairing it with. And second, I think Premium has now introduced yet another addition of the new feature, where we kind of fixed something that was somewhat broken in the app before. We did have food pairing before the addition of the premium functionality, but it never truly worked for us. And we kept hearing from the users that most people don't ever start with wine and then pair it with food.
Hell yes.
Well, some do, but most of our users didn't.
Yeah, this is a bigger use case.
So finally, we're able to address that use case. It's a huge use case that exists out there, and it's something that Vivino has never been actually good at.
No.
And now with the addition of that feature, we're finally able to help our users.
And the scale, 500 is a lot, but the other side of the scale is the wines. Nobody's done basically all wines in the world, and we've done that, which is just all database. It's really quite incredible.
And it's also impressive how broad our recommendations are, in the sense that you can either go with the actual recommended wines from your cellar, or you could go with some styles, or if styles is not your thing, you don't actually relate to them well, but you are comfortable with taste characteristics, then we help you with that. So it's you get a whole variety of recommendations, and you pick whatever works for you.
And you can do it fast. You look up. Hey, I'm gonna have a pizza tonight, whatever, and then I walk into a store and say, look, Brunello's good with. I just give me a great Brunello. So you can do that and just really do it quickly.
Exactly.
Kind of cool. Yeah. Okay, good. So you've seen the feature now. We definitely love it. The next thing we want to do now is just dig into the data a little bit, because this data is kind of lively. We can actually see what people are eating in these countries, at least what they're eating with wine. And we want to walk through, we're going to do 6 countries and dig into what are the top food pairing meals that people are eating with wine. So I think I was super curious to see this. So be excited about that. So let's get going. And we're going to start in the US. And I'm gonna sort of read them up in reverse order. That's so much more exciting. So what food do people pair wine with in the US? Number 5, baked salmon. Number 4, tacos. Number 3, pepperoni pizza. And I'm going to stop here because apparently there was a story about pepperoni pizza. We had a total rebellion at Vivino because there's no such thing as a pepperoni pizza. What was the story, Joachim?
We had a bit of controversy, that's right. So we were kind of showcasing the feature internally in the company, just giving it to the employees early, also to get some feedback on the actual pairings. And feedback we got some feedback from some Italian colleagues who were fairly adamant that pepperoni pizza does not exist.
So you can say pepperoni cake, or what did they want to do?
I think the point was, which I sort of think is maybe fair, that it's not a traditional Italian pizza.
True.
It's not something you would usually find in Italy, or maybe definitely not in Naples. but unfortunately for the Italians, fact is that now it does exist.
They should be happy the Americans have taken over. So I can tell you right away that pepperoni pizza is not on the top 5 in Italy.
No. I am not surprised by that.
No. Okay, let's move on. But that was funny. Like we lost all our Italian colleagues because of this. They were very passionate about this. So anyway, let's move on. Number 2 on the US list is a burger, a beef burger. Makes a lot of sense. And you've seen the list, so there's no biggie on what's number 1 here. But number 1 is steak. So for the Americans, super interesting to see what people pair with wine, and maybe some surprises like tacos. Look, beer with tacos usually. I don't know, but I love the people. Maybe also people are curious about that. Like I would normally drink a beer with tacos, but here we go. Any comments on the American habits?
No big surprises. I mean, we also see steak as overall the most
huge
picked dish. It's also a classic pairing.
Yes.
But yeah, it's good to see some variety in there. And when you dive further down on the list, it's also cool to see different countries trying a broader variety.
And this is where I'm going to be challenged because the pronunciation here on this is going to be tricky. But the next one we're going to do is Brazil. So get ready for this. Number 5 in Brazil is feijoada. It's a Brazilian black bean stew. Have you had it?
I don't think I've tried.
I don't think, but it's black beans, I think, and beef. But I'm not sure. So feijoada is number 5 on the list. Number 4, arroz de carreteiro, which is a beef and rice dish in Brazil. So my guess would be those 2 are locals, and then it's so funny that you see like the fusion kitchen. Number 3 is sushi in Brazil. Number 2 is shrimp fried rice. And number 1 in Brazil is bacalhau. So fish dish, do you know bacalhau?
Yeah, it's like a salted cod, I think.
Yes, it is salted, but like you salt it to begin with, and then you actually sort of put it in water to get the salt out of again. So really big, like in Basque Country. It's huge in Spain and Portugal, and then obviously came that way down to Brazil. So bacalhau number 1 in Brazil, which is again, super curious what people do locally. The third country we're going to do is going to be France, and obviously France is a big exporter of what people eat around the world. Italy is probably the biggest when we look at these things, but the France is. What do you think it's going to be? You've seen the list. It'd be fun to do this without, but I tell you, on the French list there are surprises. I mean, the French are going to. Can we really show this list? Because I'm worried now.
Go for it.
Yeah, I'm going to go for it.
Okay.
Okay. Because it does start really French, but it really doesn't end very French. So let's go. Number 5. Coq au vin. So classic French dish with white wine and chicken, right? We think, yeah, sure, makes sense. What is that? Is it white wine? I guess it is, right?
I think it's red wine.
Yeah, it's red? Oh, really? Because the white wine's in the dish.
I'm not... Oh, the pairing.
Yeah, the pairing, yeah.
Oof.
We'll see. We'll check the app.
I actually don't know.
Okay, number 4 in France. Roast lamb leg. Great. And we're getting the top 3 here, and none of them are French. You'd expect to see some foie gras or cheese here, but yeah, no. So number 3 on the French list is cordero asado, which is cordero means lamb, asado I think means roast or something. So it's a Spanish lamb roast. I'm sure it's amazing. Number 2 in France, we're not in Asia or anywhere like that, is a lamb tikka masala. So look, pardon my ignorance, but that is an Indian dish, right? Just want to.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Quite surprising for France.
Yeah, exactly. But number one is going to be even more surprising, and this is where French. Please stay with us here. But number one is a burger.
That hurts.
Yeah, that hurts. That hurts a little bit. With all the amazing food they have in France, the number one food pairing. So we'll do this again when we have more data, but we should talk about data. How much data do we have? We have quite a lot of data, right?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, so the feature is available for premium users, but we have tens of thousands of dish page views, which this is based on. So I think statistically significant.
It's pretty good. Yeah, again, French, sorry, but statistically it's pretty significant. At least thousands of searches on this. Yeah. We will do this again in a year, I promise you, and let's see where the burger is at that time.
There is also a slight Easter bias. Like we saw there was quite a big bump in lamb-related dishes around Easter, so that might also have bumped those dishes up.
This is a good point. This is a good point. So when we have full annual data, and like Christmas, there could be a duck or whatever. So that matters too. So yes, disclaimer on that.
It's going to be interesting to see how it changes over time as now we're seeing lots of users try out the feature as well, right? So just using the dishes that they are either like cooking all the time or just the first ones that come to their mind. As the feature evolves in the usage, I think it's going to be also interesting to see if people maybe even discover new dishes through the search in our app.
And maybe we'll make some features. Maybe we should, this list I'm reading now, maybe that should be in the app, right? So when I start searching, just show me top 10 right away because I'm like, pick that anyway. So
in the works.
Anyway, there you go. It's coming. We're brainstorming at this point. Cool. So let's go to Mexico. So what food do people pair wine with in Mexico? And we only have a top 4 here. I'm not sure what that is, but we do. And number 4 is apparently a lot of shrimp in Mexico, is a shrimp cocktail. So that's interesting. Again, not sure maybe that'd be a sparkling or whatever, but number 3 is a bunch of paellas. So we've grouped them here, but various paellas, which again makes a lot of sense. Spanish inspired. Number 2 is a shrimp fried rice. And number 1, a clam bake. So it's a steamed seafood with clams and so on. Obviously, I know most of these had a lot of paellas, obviously. Clam bake, I'm not so sure. It could be a cultural thing. So please, anyone from Mexico. Mexico is a huge Vivino country. So, and a lot of premium users, I really noticed that. So please put it in the comments and let us know what the clam bake is. It a traditional Mexican thing or where are we at with that?
I remember wrong, but I think it has the largest percentage of premium subscribers out of the user base.
Exactly.
In Mexico.
Yeah, Mexico and Brazil are
or I think it's the second largest after the United States.
Yeah.
Which is very impressive.
Amazing. Yeah, thank you, Mexico. So cool. We're going to move on to Japan. And again, not as culturally confusing as France, but also has some surprises in there, I will say. So what food do people pair wine with in Japan? And we're going to go to number 5 first. We're going to go straight to France. And again, I'm not sure about the cassoulet. You know, it's like a slow-cooked French stew, cassoulet. So apparently big in Japan. That was number 5. Number 4, carbonara. Good old carbonara is huge in Japan for pairing. It could also be that when people drink wine, I have some Italian, I love carbonara with that. So, it could be biased a little bit. And number 3 is oysters. And then we're going to get into the more local stuff. I think I know some of them. Number 2 is tonkatsu, which is a breaded pork. Again, I assume that's Japanese. And number 1 in Japan, maybe predictable, is udon, which is like this soupy steak, which I really love too. So Japan, more predictable, but still some, carbonara surprises in there. Quite interesting. Okay, we're going to go to Italy now, which is a lot of the food comes from Italy, not the pepperoni, obviously, but a lot of the food will come from Italy. So, but let's move to Italy and see what we got there. We have a top 5 there too. This one is a little bit boring because it's very Italian. Let's see. Number 5, bistecca fiorentina. And we're all looking, everyone's got left face. What the hell? I'm not 100% sure what it is though. So I haven't had it yet. So
it's basically a big steak.
Oh, it's a big steak.
It's a certain kind of cut you get in Florence. But,
okay.
Yeah, simple translation is steak.
Okay. I'm going to have that soon. So next time I go to Florence, I'm going to have a bistecca for sure. Okay. And number 4, we had to group the pizzas because there was a lot of pizza in there, right?
There's quite a lot of pizza, yeah.
Yeah. So number 4 is various pizza.
How many types of pizzas do you have in the database?
I think around 10, I want to say.
That's 9.
Not enough.
Pepperoni.
Yeah, true.
It's hidden only for the Italian.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone else is getting it.
You can't see pepperoni pizza in Italy. You can see it everywhere else.
And then there is a special pizza, the pineapple pizza, that is only visible if you're a special type of
Again,
user.
that's a cake.
We haven't dared so far.
Cool. Number 3 in Italy, and Garfield would be proud here, it's lasagna. So it makes a lot of sense too. Number 2, another global hit, pasta carbonara. And number 1, prosciutto. Again, makes total sense. So, I mean, incredible to see these things. And there were a couple of things that were just outside the list in Italy. We want to mention it, that was for diversity here, was Peking duck and buffalo wings in Italy. So quite cool to see the diversity there. It's not just that we eat all the Italian food, they also eat Peking duck and buffalo wings. So, good. Okay, any comments on this? I think this is so interesting. Again, our data is pretty good. It's going to get better. There could be seasonal variations, with and so on. So we'll see where this ends, but I'm super excited about getting back to this data later on for sure. Yes, any final comments on the food pairing? We did spend some time on that.
I think maybe the last one, and it might be a good transition to the next topic, which is that we are going to launch a new wine adventure that will be specifically dedicated to food pairing. Yeah. So it will consist of several chapters, and they cover a variety of different topics. All of them are about what is the actual science, or maybe more of a wisdom and experience behind pairing wine and food. Yeah. And I've read through the wine adventure. I really like it, so I look forward to it appearing in the app. But I think it's also a good transition to the topic of wine adventures.
Yeah. Let's start there. So, wine adventure is the educational part of Premium. Tell us a little bit about that, just to remind people, whoever wants to do that. But yeah,
sure. So wine adventures are, I think, one of the OG Vivino features. It's been around. They've been around for a long time. And we have, I think, around 20 of them now. Yeah. And we have a sort of a good variety of things of topics that we try to cover. But the essential idea with it is that we try to find sort of a playful, not too sort of, let's say, intense way to learn a bit more about wine, to help people who maybe don't want to buy a book and read 300 pages about wine history or wine theory. Not that can't be very exciting if you're very into wine, but sometimes people don't have the time. So we try to offer sort of an alternative where you can also do some quizzes, and there's some challenges, such as you have to find a wine that's mentioned in the adventure and try it and rate it to get to the next chapter. And more recently, we've added a few. We've added a Australia wine adventure, which we actually did in collaboration with Wine Australia. Yep. And a New Zealand wine adventure. Sort of cover that part of the world, which we'd, in that domain at least, neglected a bit. Yeah.
Getting back, cool. Yeah.
They're definitely not the last ones that we're going to add, so yeah, it's exciting.
And then there are a few that are like, there's one about tasting wine, I think, and then this one is about general food pairing, right?
Yeah.
And a lot more about all the different regions.
Yes, the old school regions.
Exactly.
And stuff, exactly. That's why we came back with Australia and New Zealand, because we didn't have enough of that, right?
Mm-hmm. So now we have quite a few wine adventures there, and we are committed to developing more and more and to releasing adding more into the premium set of wine adventures, which is really useful if you want to learn more about wine.
Yeah. And they're popular. Our users, do we know why people buy premium? We have an idea about it. But it looks like people are using these wine adventures, right?
Yeah, for sure. We saw a huge bump in wine adventure usage among premium users as soon as we launched the latest one. So with something like food pairing, we expect like an even bigger bump because it's relevant probably to everyone who drinks wine. Yes. Most people who drink wine also eat food, and most of those people also want to match it. Exactly.
So
we think it probably has a broad appeal.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Perfect. Okay, very cool. So more to come on the wine adventures, and we're gonna go. Yeah, no, one more. The next feature here, which I think, again, something that's quite data-driven, is the drinking window. This is another thing that a lot of people have come to us and look, I put things in the cellar or I buy things. I want to know when should I be drinking it. And we've released that a few months ago, as far as I remember. And again, this is just like with the food pairing. this is almost every wine in the world that we've done a drinking window for, and that has never been done before. And it's based on our data. We have some wizards on the data team that really figured out how to do this. So talk a little bit about the drinking window. Let's talk about what it is first. When should you drink a wine, right?
Yeah, pretty much. So this is a common concept in the wine world. You have a wine, maybe a 2017 vintage. You've been aging it for a few years. Should you drink it now? Should you age a bit longer? Will it maybe improve? Or is it time that you really opened it because it's only going to get worse?
It's ready.
Yeah. And usually people refer to experts and sort of read reviews, and the expert will say this wine will be great to drink between 2032 and 2035.
Yeah.
And you sort of have to find that information yourself, note it somewhere, remember it, or look it up when you want to make a choice.
Yeah.
So we've now built a way where you can do all of that in Vivino. Where it's based both on expert knowledge, but also on our own unique data set. And the coolest thing about it actually is that those two overlap quite a bit, like much more than even we maybe expected.
The people know.
Exactly, like the wisdom of the crowd turns out to work in this case as well. So yeah, we launched that a couple of months ago, got really good response. We see a lot of people using it to decide whether to drink a wine or keep it for a few years and improve it. And
totally. Yeah. Let's have a look at it. Let's have a look at, do a little bit of demo, see what it looks like. Just a short demo. It's more the miracle of that it's on almost every wine out there, right? It's not a fancy feature. Talking about that, I think at some point we're going to expand it and make it even more data, right? So right now we do a window, but they could also be like, hey, maybe there's a peak here. Maybe that you should drink it right now.
Exactly.
But anyway, that we have some data to do that, right?
Yeah, for sure. And we're working on that. We're also working on expanding it so that we can cover, maybe not all the wines, but almost all the wines that we have. But the original feature you find over here on the wine page. So in this case, this is a 2023 Barbera, and if you tap on this feature here, you can see both the insights that we already had, and now the drinking window. So in this case, it tells me keep it for at least another year, and then there's this 10-year window where we think it will be ideal to drink.
Yeah, and 10 years for this particular wine. It could be 2 years, it could be 5 years, it could be 30 years, right?
Yeah, exactly. And this will depend on many different factors. So we have a fairly complex algorithm that we don't need to dive into, but it's based on expert knowledge, it's based on ratings, it's based on the rating of the wine as well, on the style.
And when people drink it, and when do people stop drinking it?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. So not just how do people rate it at different points, but also do we see that people stop drinking it after a while? In aggregate, we take that as a sign that maybe it was better before. Yeah,
and I mean, general rule with wine is that it improves and it improves mostly, and that could be very different. But then when it starts going down, it can go down pretty fast, and you really don't want to get to that point. You really want to drink it before it starts going in. You don't want to wait. You should drink it.
Yeah, exactly. But the cool new thing that we launched more recently was, so this is great if you want to check a single wine. Like, so if you have a cellar with a couple hundred bottles and you know which wine you want to drink, you can go to that wine, look it up, see, okay, maybe not this one, maybe I'll pick a different one.
Yeah.
But if you have 100 different bottles or 200 or 300 or maybe even more than that, and you don't know what you want to drink, that could be quite tedious to go through all those wine pages. So we fairly quickly added a couple features to make that easier for you. One is we have a quick filter here at the top, so you can find just the wines that are ready to drink, which we think is the most common use case, and also hear from our users, like, just show me something that's like good to drink now. I shouldn't keep it longer.
This is a concern for people, right? People are worried that they have a lot of wine and it's about to expire, which is obviously true. I'm not telling people they should drink more, but maybe they should invite more people over. So people are worried about it, like, all this wine I have, I bought it all, I can't drink it. Invite more people over, have some fun.
Yeah, maybe you've spent a lot of time and money on your collection, so it's only natural you want to get the most out of it.
Totally.
So we have that, but in some cases you also maybe want to find that wine that is past its peak, as we call it, or you want to find
last minute.
Yeah, or you want to find the wines that maybe aren't covered by this filter, because for some wines we don't know what the drinking window is, or the wines that we think you should store a bit longer. Yeah. So for that we have this new filter view. So we've completely revamped all of this for the lists. This is out on Android, and by the time this goes out, I think should be out on iOS as well. So we've made all this a bit more snappy and updated the design. But the most important thing is we've added these drinking window filters up here. Okay. So again, you can pick the ready to drink wines, or you can find, in this case I have 2 wines, Chardonnay from 2009, probably good for cooking at this point, if that. And you can see those and sort of know maybe you should drink those.
But it's also a lottery, by the way, right? So the older it gets, if it goes over, you can still find some good ones, some of them, but it's a little bit of fun.
You just take a slightly higher risk.
Yeah, it's higher risk.
Going for that wine.
Totally. You should drink those. Yeah. When should we come over?
Yeah.
Cool. Good. Again, this is incredibly practical. Just to have a quick look, maybe you're in a store and like, this one's old. Should I really be buying it? That's one thing. Another thing is if you have a cellar, you can really go through, which is pretty amazing too.
It's so much better than using those. I don't know if you've ever seen those tables, like the huge tables that experts create that show like the best drink window per region. This is so much faster and so much easier.
Right?
And also, additionally, it's not just based on one expert's opinion, right? Like it's actually based on the data that we see in wine consumption.
Yeah, totally.
I think as well, just like the food pairing feature, this is a good example of what we're trying to do. Like we try to do, like, not just make features for the pros or the experts, like the tables that maybe are a bit hard for someone like me to even understand. But we try to build features that work for the whole spectrum of users. So if you know a lot about wine, you can use this. If you don't know a lot about wine, you can use this and actually learn a bit about drinking windows.
Totally. Super convenient to use, Okay, so we're going to do... now the fun is really going to start, because there are some future things coming for the cellar, since we're in the cellar now. And one of them, we're going to see more stats, right?
Yeah.
What is coming? What should we expect there?
So, if we start with the stats, that's something we've been working on for a while. Again, similar problem to what we've just looked at, where if you have a lot of bottles in your cellar, you might want to know what they're worth, maybe for insurance reasons even, or just for fun to see if your collection is becoming more or less valuable. You might want to know how many bottles you have that are ready to drink and how many will be ready to drink next year.
When should you plan a party again?
Exactly, all that stuff. So we've been working on a set of basic stats that can give you an overview of your cellar, help you make decisions on what to buy, what to drink, what to get rid of, maybe what to get more of. And it's coming to the apps, but the first version is going to come to the web.
And this is where we do a switch, and we're going to look at the web right now. So we're back with a laptop on the table here, because the big screen. And again, so why do we do this? Look, we're very much an app company. We're big on the web too. But this particular feature, looking at your wine cellar, doing that on a big screen, I think it's quite compelling. It could be on this, or maybe on iPad or something like that. I love doing that. So we've started to expand. Like, we didn't have the cellar before, right?
On the web?
Yeah, it wasn't there. So we're actually releasing the cellar when this episode drops, it's probably going to be out already, right?
Yeah, it should be.
It should be. So putting pressure on here. So tell us what we have on the cellar on the web, because there are actually some new features in there too, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I think the biggest new thing that you already called out as well is the stats. So we're going to add a bunch more, but this is sort of your first high level overview. You'll be excited to see.
Tell us, let's go through them.
Sure. So you get an idea of how many, or what the distribution of the different wine types is in your cellar. So in this case, I have a lot of red wine, a bit of white wine, some sparkling, no fortified wine, no rosés.
Oh wow!
Maybe I should, maybe I should fix that.
Trip to Portugal and you're all good.
Yeah, I should. Always happy to. But so that's sort of a very high level overview that you get. You can see how many bottles you have as well. And we're probably going to have some stats also to show you over time how that changes for most of these. You can see the cellar value, which I mentioned before, for insurance reasons might be interesting, or just to see are my wine investments, if I'm doing them, working out for me or not. And you can get an idea of what's ready to drink, what should I keep. If you see a lot of wines that you should hold and not ready to drink, then if you're having a party in the weekend, maybe you need to stock up. Yeah. Or just sacrifice some of those bottles that are close to drinking windows. Yeah. So that's one of the main new things, but I think the biggest new thing is just having the cellar on the web, which we haven't had before. So you alluded to it before. Apps are great. We love apps, and we're really happy with the cellar feature on the Vivino app. But sometimes if you want to do a lot of things at once, if you want to add 50 bottles to your cellar, or if you want to get a different kind of overview, a bigger screen is more helpful. Yeah. So that's why we're adding this feature to let you sort of browse through your collection, sort it by whatever you want. You can search in your collection, and we're adding much more. So you'll be able to filter. Yeah. So again, if you want to find the wines that are ready to drink or certain style or something that matches with a certain type of food, you'll be able to do that. And of course, you'll also be able to add wines to your cellar from the web.
And what about the data? Like the pricing data is pretty good. We have a lot of pricing data. It's not perfect, but it's pretty indicative, right? And if you have a lot of wines, it probably even out over time. Could there be some extra stats there, like how is it developing? And you can see it goes up, and then you drink 12 bottles and it goes down. And these friends were expensive, and then so on. Could that be something?
Yeah, that's the idea. That over time you'll see how it develops. Yeah. And I mean, you're right. Wine isn't just an investment, even if you have a big collection. So you would expect the value to go down when you drink it.
Hopefully,
then you can, I guess, decide if it was worth it.
Yeah.
If you want to do those kind of calculations.
Yeah, that's fun. Okay, very cool.
Yeah.
No, it looks amazing and something I'm excited about because, watching all this on a big screen and even showing on the television, whatever, it's quite fun, right?
Yeah. It just makes so much sense, right? Like sometimes to manage so many different wines, you just need a bigger real estate. You just need the proper space in order to see the wines, in order to be able to quickly change the number of bottles. Sometimes like I forget to just remove it in my app and then to go back and try to find that wine in my list in the app can be quite annoying. Like here, it will be much faster.
Totally. Yeah, that's fun. Looking forward to that. Okay, so now we're going to dig a little bit into the future here, and we're not just going to talk premium. We're also going to talk about other upcoming features. This one we're showing now is a free feature which has some extra premium features at some point, and this is a totally new thing for us. So before we do the demo, let's it's not going to be a demo because I guess it's in Figma now. It's not it's not programmed yet, but we want to tease it a little bit. So what is this and why are we doing it?
It's called Places, and with it we're trying to tackle a problem that, again, we've heard from many different users that they have and that they're trying to solve in different ways today, but in our own unique Vivino way, using all the data that we already have.
Yeah.
And what that problem is, to get to the main point, is where should I go for a glass of wine? If I'm in a new city or if I want to try a new place near where I live, where should I go?
Where's the good wine? Where's
exactly.
the good stuff? Yeah.
And if I'm there, what should I drink? Not just what do other people drink here, but also what matches my preferences perfectly, or do they maybe even have like that favorite wine that I drank 3 years ago in Italy in stock? And should I try that out there?
Very cool. Okay.
So it's both for places where you can get wine served to you, or for places where you can go and buy wine.
Yeah,
so like a wine store or a supermarket, and also a restaurant or a wine bar.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Which anywhere that you can buy wine for, either bring it home or serve it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how's the data there? Do we have good data? I was just going to improve as we launch this, but how good is our data?
Our data's pretty solid. So we get data from primarily from users who tag wines with places, which many users already do today. Like going to improve the way that you can do that to make it a lot easier. Yeah. And we'll also try and build some things for those users so that they get even more out of doing that, to like keep track of where did I drink wine, find that exact place.
Just for the memory too, like where did I have this?
Exactly.
Okay, so it's a reason to put a place on is to, I remember I had it here, right?
Yeah, and it's like you associate like maybe like very important occasions with that, or fun experiences that you had. So we wanna help people remember those things and keep track of that. But then of course the extra benefit for the whole user base is that we can use that data to then figure out which wines are available at which places.
Exactly. Yeah. So yes, I mean, a big use case obviously. Let's dig in and see. Again, this will not be released when we release this episode. No. But when are we? Before we get into demo, when do you think this is going to be out?
So we're gonna do a soft launch as with premium. We're gonna launch it in a few markets in the summer. We're aiming for July, and then depending on how that goes, we'll roll it out hopefully very quickly after that.
Fantastic. So July in a couple of markets, and in this case, it is because it's developed in Denmark. It's going to be Denmark, and then I think the other country was Ireland.
Ireland, exactly.
Did you just throw a dice, or what happened?
It worked well with premium. It's like it's not Denmark, which is good, so we don't introduce too much English bias there. Yeah. It's English speaking, which is helpful for getting user feedback. Yeah. Went with Ireland.
And then maybe we roll it out August, September, or something like that.
Yeah, if everything goes well, that's the goal.
But let's see what it is.
Sure. So you mentioned before as well, this is a design prototype. So it's not going to work perfectly as an actual feature, but just to illustrate what you'll be able to do, you'll first land on a map, such as this, which people know from many different apps. You can see places around you. You can browse around the map, go anywhere you want. You can search for specific places if you're looking for one, or you can also get all the places around you as a list. You can filter. So again, as Oleg mentioned, you can also go to shops. We'll also have wineries, and you can sort of decide what you're looking for and just see those places. But the most interesting part is probably when you then actually pick a place, either because you're there or you decide maybe this looks interesting. This one, they say they have highly rated wines and quite a big selection.
So we're saying that based on our data?
Yeah, pretty much. And then you get a lot more details about this place. So you can see, this case, it's what we call a popular place. There's a lot of people that have been there. You get some pictures from the wines, which in the future we hope also to add a bunch more pictures of the places by users or from other sources. And the first sort of uniquely Vivino thing that you see is these highlights here in the About section. So this is if you just want to get a rough idea of what kind of wine do they have at this place. Is this for me? So they have highly rated French wines. You can see a couple of styles that people have had there that are highly rated.
That's cool.
And you can see this happens to be a mostly natural wine place.
Okay. I was going to comment. I thought, no, there's too many listeners that like naturals. But yeah, good for them.
Exactly, good for them.
This is like uniquely Vivino magic, right? Like we are able to look at the data and give you the highlights from every single place that you can go to.
Yeah,
exactly.
Because if you love Italian wines, you want to go to Italian wine bar or French or whatever.
Precisely.
Right? So, okay, very good. So you use our data, and so if we dig into that, it's going to be hard to get full coverage unless we, have them send us. But if you go to a popular wine bar, is it likely we'll have 50 to 100 wine listed? What do you think it's going to look like? I'm sure you've dug into this data.
Yeah, for the popular places in, for example, Copenhagen, that's definitely going to be the case.
Okay.
And with this, we're not trying to cover the whole wine list yet. That's the goal in the end. Sure. We'll need some other data sources for that. But we're trying to give you an idea of what's popular here, what are some of the things that you can have here, and essentially help you pick a wine. And
obviously accelerate the data collection too, right? As soon as the feature's out there, people are going to use it more, and we'll accelerate data collection, right?
Yeah, exactly. So what I think is going to be the really cool part as well is once you've then decided to go to a place, or if you're like a heavy planner, which we've also seen from some users who will sort of before they go to a restaurant,
they'll spend time.
Yeah, they'll look at the menu and go like, okay, I'm going to have this dish, I'm going to have that wine, and this dish and that wine. If you want to do that, you can of course sometimes go to the place's website and look up the wines individually, see the PDF, ratings. Yeah, pretty much. You can use the wine list scanner when you're there, or you can use this feature, and you can look at all of the wines that we believe this place has. You can filter them. So if you just want to see the red wines, for example, you can see those. If you want to see the full list, you can do that as well. And we're going to add more filters, more features to help you pick a wine in this place. We're going to also highlight the ones that we think are relevant for you. So you can see the Match for You score, for example. We'll do a lot more of that. And so this is a pretty big thing for Vivino, like to try and tackle this use case for the first time.
Case, right? Yeah.
And I think there's a huge potential to expand on this once we get it out.
One thing that I know is tricky is the prices, right? So I guess day one we will not have price. Maybe there are some reports on it. What's your thinking on that?
You're right. We won't have prices in the beginning. I think once we potentially start working with places directly, then we'll try and get that in there. So
and wine list scanner maybe. And
yeah, exactly.
Okay,
we're gonna use that as well.
So there is a lot of potential in the feature, but it's already going to be quite powerful for two main purposes. You decide where you want to go, so you can browse between multiple restaurants or wine bars and just pick the one that you are excited about for the wine selection. And the second one is just when you go to a supermarket or a wine store, and instead of just scanning a few bottles, we've made it easier for you to quick scan. So right now, it won't take that much time, but it still takes time to just browse through a few bottles. Instead, you will know what wine you're going for. You will be able to open up the feature, find that wine store or a supermarket, see the selection, see the one that fits your taste and is highly rated. And then once you know how it looks like, you just go to the wine aisle and then you just find it there and you pick it up.
Yeah. And I say, especially if you go out to a restaurant or to a wine bar, that's a big commitment, right? It's because now I've said I'm going to go here, I'm going to sit down and order something, right? Now, if they have shitty wine or it's totally priced off, like this is not right. it's super annoying.
Or it's all natural for you.
Yes,
the worst case.
Why are they serving this? So, and you can deal with some basic research. If we just look, I'm not going to commit to inviting 3 of my friends here and sit down if the wine is not good or not what we like. They're different tastes in wine. But for that, can be incredibly strong.
Yeah.
Very good. Any final comments on places? This was the feature we want to talk about, the tease today, right? And we talk about release, quick one in a few countries in July, then August, September, it should be out all over the world. So super excited about that. Any other comments?
Very exciting. And also, it kind of continues the same story of some of the premium features that we've had developed so far, which is that we look at the problems that Vivino was not really solving or was not really solving well, and we fix that. So we make sure that we can help with everything wine related. So if there is yet another problem that can arise in your wine journey. Consumption, wine journey, now there is a new feature that can help you with that. And that's also yet another feature that actually used to exist. Like the old timers, like you, Heini, and myself, we remember that we
crying when it was removed.
We used to have this feature. It was called Nearby. We tried to achieve the same, but last time we didn't do it properly. Like we didn't
combined with not enough data.
Exactly. Like we didn't make sure that we would base the wine recommendations and the wine list on enough data. Instead, we prioritize the variety of data versus the quality of data. This time we take that into consideration. So we will make sure that when you open up a page that shows the information about the place and the wines present, well, we need to make sure that we're quite confident about the wine selection present there.
Amazing. Look, I love this feature. I'm so excited to see it, and I haven't seen more than the listeners here. So excited to see it. Not too long, I guess. So we've been through quite a lot here, both premium and this feature, by the way, is like, let's say for now mostly a free feature, right? There are some added small things that are going to be premium, but most of it's going to be free, which is obviously exciting for a lot of people. Any other things you want to cover here? Because we've been through a lot today and so much coming and so exciting. Anything we miss?
I think that pretty much covers what we've been focusing on. We're with all the features that we've shown today and the other features in the premium subscription. We're also slowly shifting into a mode where we want to iterate on those, where we're learning a bit about how people use them. I'm super excited to see how people use places and also give people an opportunity.
And the data we're going to get, right?
Yeah, exactly. And give them an opportunity to use it in their own unique way. The same as with reviews, for example. So we also want to see how the community receives those things, kind of adapt to that and build some more cool stuff.
Totally.
So yes, please remember to give us your feedback. So we have a special premium hub page for the users that are premium. We're also reading all App Store reviews. So if you have some good feedback for us, please do leave it there as well. We would like to hear it out. And just ultimately make sure that we're building the right products for our users. 100%. Like now it's been a whole year of developing premium and premium features. And we've built a lot. Like now, like I joked about us not being able to fit it on one page, but it's actually somewhat of a real problem. Like we don't want to just keep developing features just to add it as an extra addition, but we want to address the real life problems.
And also make sure you improve on the features you built already.
Exactly.
This is software.
And for that, we need feedback. We need to know how well we're actually addressing those problems. We need to know what else we need to address in the wine world. Like Vivino is not just a scanning tool, and that's becoming more and more clear for us as well, as we're developing a lot of different features that address way more than just like I need to learn about the wine that is standing in front of me. Like for instance, places. That's a great example of something that would work without you ever needing to scan a wine. Just think about it. You would use Vivino and you would never go into the scanner.
You would still rate it, you do all those things.
Exactly. Like there are lots of things that you would use without the core of the Vivino that used to be the main feature that people downloaded it for. So I think it's also representing like a very big shift in our mindset internally as well. Like we're moving away from just being like one scanner app, the scanner app though, but just a scanner app that people just use in order to scan, into the app that solves all wine problems. Like anything anything that you can think of that you have issues with when it comes to wine, we're there to help. So for that, we need your feedback. We need our community to tell us what else we need to address or how we can address the current problems better. So please do leave us feedback and rate us on App Store and Google Play.
Thank you. Perfect. Thanks, guys, for coming. Super exciting.
Thank you.
So please rate and review wherever you listen to podcasts and send us an email, maybe even a soundbite at podcast@pavino.com. We might feature it right here. Thank you very much for listening.